Hi everyone, and welcome to this Season 2 Episode 8 video in how to successfully apply to a customer success management role. My name is Frederike, and I have been working in the tech world in the last couple of years at companies like LinkedIn, Miro, and Seismic, and I have been on both sides of the hiring process. So I have been interviewed for several customer success management roles, either because headhunters came to me and asked if I want to apply, or otherwise as I proactively applied to those companies. So I know the ins and outs, what's important, how to nail the interviews, how to do successful salary negotiations. But on the other side, I also have been the person that was hiring for my own team of customer success managers. And in that role, I was designing my own hiring processes, but also looking for candidates specifically to join my team. So I know both sides of this process. And because I know all of that, it will be very beneficial for you to dig deeper into how does the hiring process look like and what best practices you can take from this to nail your own customer success management interviews. But also for any other kind of role, this is really beneficial because you better understand what is important to hiring managers and how you can successfully prepare for those interviews. If you haven't watched the previous episode, I would highly encourage you because this is already episode 8. So I have been covering a lot in the first 7 episodes until this episode 8. And if you haven't watched it, it might be a bit awkward and you're not completely sure of how does this fit into the context. And for that reason, I would highly encourage you to watch the other episodes so that you have a better understanding. Okay, why do we talk about this here and what have I already learned that brings me to exactly this point to get the most out of this video. And especially video episode 4 and episode 7 are highly relevant for you because in episode 4, I share the whole hiring process and the 10 steps of the hiring process. And in the previous episode 7, I share with you what is important for the recruiter's interview. And if you nail the recruiter's interview, this will bring you to the hiring manager interview that we will be doing now. And for that reason, it's helpful for you to have watched this one beforehand so you feel more confident now with the hiring manager interview. Having said this, let's directly dive in and let's see how you can successfully nail the hiring manager's interview. What will we be doing in this episode, as I said, is about the hiring manager interview. So let's say you nailed the recruiter's interview. The recruiter is totally fine. They say, okay, that was a great interview. I highly recommend this person. And I would be happy if this person has another chance in the next interview. So I basically put them in the next round of interviews. What they normally do is they discuss this with the hiring manager. They say what is something that we really liked, what is something where we see a bit of friction points, why this might be the case, and how the hiring manager can better find out, okay, is it a friction point or is it actually a strong suit of this candidate? If they all agree, there will be a second interview, and this interview is normally the interview that you will be having with the hiring manager. And similar as to the recruiter interview, the hiring manager will also try to find out if you are a fit for the company and if you are fit for the role. But compared to the recruiter's interview, they will do this in a more detailed manner. So they will be going more into detail into how you can do that and more into detail and finding out, okay, is this person really a great fit? Because they want to find out, do I want to work with that person? Is this a person I can imagine having in my team? And so they don't only do, let's say, foundational questions, they do deep dive questions. And that's the reason why you have this hiring manager interview to find out, okay, am I a great fit for the company? But also, is the company a great fit for myself? So what we will be doing is that I will share with you some relevant questions, then a structure that helps you to define and answer those questions. And then also what we will be doing afterwards is that I give you some tips and tricks of how you feel more confident while doing those interviews. So let's dive in. So if we look at relevant questions, there are some ideas here of those questions that are most common when hiring managers try to find out if you're a great fit. So one example, for example, is to say, tell me about a specific client that you work with. So they just want to have an understanding, okay, whom are you working with? Is this someone, for example, more an SMB client, SMB company, or is it more an enterprise company? So they want to also see how you answer. So questions could be more in detail. They could say, tell me about a specific client that you work with. And then they say, okay, what's the use case? What's about stakeholder management? What's about specific meetings? With whom did you talk? Problems that you solved? For whom did you solve those problems? So just going deeper into how did you do specific things and with whom did you work? Other similar questions is describe a situation where you solved the problem of one of your clients. How did you do that? So that's very specific. But again, how did you do this? There is a situation. How do you handle that? There is a meeting. How do you do this? You have a specific stakeholder. There is a problem. How do you do this? So really going deep into better understanding how you do specific things and how you act in specific situations. Another one, how do you handle cross-functional conflicts with colleagues? Please give me an example. So how do you handle that situation? How do you make the most out of it? And what's the process that you take? Another one, you have a product owner who's a roadblock at the client company regarding change management. How do you handle that? Please give me an example of how you handled that in the past. Another one, imagine you just got a complaint from a client. How do you handle that? So you see some of those are about examples of the past of how you handle that situation. Some others are more about imagine that this happens, how would you react? And normally it's always more great to have examples of things that you actively already did. So experience and how you handle that, because that's more relevant and more likely to really get the grasp of how you are acting in specific situations compared to just imagine that. Because if you just imagine this is just imagination. And we are all good in imagination of just thinking about, okay, how this could unfold and how we ideally might unfold this. But it's way stronger if you have experience and you can say, okay, given this situation, that's what I did. And this is the outcome of that. And that just makes it stronger. So always think about, okay, do I have an example in the past that I can relate to that question? If you want to know more about this and you say, okay, I'm really not confident here, you can always just, write me a message and we can do a bit of coaching on this. But in that specific example, try to link it to an experience that you already have. Then another one is, what are your goals? What do you want to achieve and why? So this is something that a recruiter often asks as well. But here you have to go into a bit more detail about how you see this company and this role benefiting your career development or benefiting whatever you want, whatever you are up to, of why you're applying. And also think about, okay, what is the hiring manager looking for? If you are a person that is just, you want to have this as a career step, that's completely fine. But then it depends, okay, is the hiring manager fine with that as well? And that's really the fit on both sides that is so important here. So be honest with these answers that you give. And also one question that I really like to ask as well, but I also think it's a great question for yourself to reflect on what you like, is what expectations do you have to me? So what is important to you in collaboration? Because this will determine a lot about our relationship that we will have. And I think the relationship is key. Because you will be working a lot with your manager and you need to be aware, you need to have a good understanding, okay, what is important to me in that relationship with the hiring manager. And this also helps the hiring manager to determine, okay, is this someone that I want to manage? And in this lies a lot of strength for both sides. So take it serious and think about it, and it will help to determine if you're a great fit. So these are some questions, and I want to give you some more insights into how you can nail them. So basically, there are two different ways of how you can look at them. The first is situation-related questions. So what you found out, a lot of those questions were situation-related questions. questions about different working areas and working with clients, but also internally working with people. It is okay, in that situation, how do you deal with that situation? In that situation, what do you do? And it's all around situations, because you can have whatever theoretical knowledge. If you're not able to apply that to a specific situation and make the best out of that situation in the way how you do that, then it's difficult to find out, okay, are you a great candidate? Um, and so be honest and sharing this, and it will also show, like, okay, what are the values that you have? What are the things that are important to you? And we come back to this in some of the later episodes around how the interview process is also, let's say, a reflection of both sides on how they work, and they will show a lot of how do you act, how do you work, and what kind of person you are. And that's so important on both sides to figure out already within the interview process, because it will tell you on both sides how will that be after the interview process. Another set of questions is all about goals and wishes, which is what is important for the future in collaboration, values, and development. So that's more the question of, okay, why do you do this? What are your implications of why do you apply for that? What do you hope to achieve while applying? But also, okay, how do we work together as a team? So all these things come here as the other kind of factors of questions. So these are normally the type of questions that you see in these hiring interviews. So what is important here for you? And this is especially around these situation-related questions. For the situation-related questions, try to have those questions in mind and then think of at least 2 examples of how you would do this. And you can check out my website, and there is a download link for more of those questions, where you basically see the questions and then potential answers, so that you have all the questions and you can work on that. Because the more examples you have per situation, the better it is. Doesn't mean that you need to have this in customer success context, but you need to have them in some kind of way. And because 2 examples, because if a hiring manager is asking 2 similar questions, what really shows if you are great is if you are able to have this and had this question more than once. If it's just once, you can just come up with an answer. But normally, if it's twice, it really means you had exactly that situation before and you know how to handle that. So one example here. Let's say, someone asks, or the hiring manager is asking, okay, give me an example of how you handled a customer complaint. So an example could be, as an answer, in my current position, I had a case 3 months ago. A client at our hotel was complaining about the service one of our service employees did. To solve the problem, I talked to X, ideally the service employee, but also some other people that I might be talking with to better understand the problem. And then I talked to Y and Z, or some similar people, to brainstorm how we could solve the problem. We then presented the solution to the client, and they agreed to go with that solution, and they wrote us a great review. Again, that's generic. Fill it with your own details and make it as specific as possible. The more specific you can do that, the better, and the more, let's say, trustworthy your answer will be. If your answer is just really generic, it also seems okay, you're just generically thinking about this, but it's not something that you really, really had, and something you really know exactly, okay, what did you do to solve the problem. So the normal framework that helps you to communicate that is normally that framework. So the framework of situation, problem, solution, and result. What is the solution? What is the situation? Sorry, what is the situation? What is the problem? What is the solution? And what is the result? If you follow that framework, this will help you a lot. And here's an example of a cross-functional conflict. So the example goes, again, situation, problem, solution, result. Situation is, my sales colleague is not doing what we agreed him to do. He's not following our agreement. What is the problem? The problem is that this leads to problems in our client calls, as we are not aligned. And the client, for example, isn't trusting anymore. The client is confused. the client doesn't know whom to believe. And this leads to a lot of strain within the relationship, which in the end, if you have a bad relationship or like a relationship that is not completely on terms of trusting, it can be really hard to, for example, make sure that you retain the client or that you can solve client problems in the future or whatever it might be that it leads to, make it as specific as possible. And then so what is the solution? Okay, I have talked with him and described the problem to him and asked him about his perspective about it. We agreed to have weekly regular meetings and clearly determine who's doing what in written form to keep us accountable. Again, a bit of a generic answer, but fill it with your details. And make it as specific again. Okay, your meeting, you hold each other accountable. What happens if someone still isn't following through? How do you still make them sure that everyone follows through? So go into the specifics here and then describe the result. So based on the solution that we both came up with, the result was that we improved the efficiency and cultural climate of our collaboration, and we're better able to hold each other accountable. We're more able to really determine who's doing what. And this then resulted also not only in our efficiency and the cultural climate of our collaboration, but also resulted in solving the problem while we actually realized that we have to change something here. So, for example, we improved the relationship to our client. So this is one example, but I would encourage you use this framework to put all of those, like you have all the questions, you find answers to them, specific examples, and build the examples as with that framework. And then you have a very good set of questions and answers. Then whenever you have the interviews, you can adapt them to the specific interview. And while adapting to the specific interview, you feel way more confident because you have those answers in place and you know that you really dig deep and you know exactly what you experienced there and you have written it down. And this will help you to also, even if the hiring manager is asking more specific questions about the situation, you can go deep because you already examined exactly that situation and how you solved it. So this is really helpful. I know it takes a bit of work, but it will be really helpful for you for whatever interview you have, but also for whatever reason, like you want to go a bit deeper into how you solve specific things. So even, for example, leadership, if you want to show someone of your employees, okay, how did I deal with a specific situation? That can be very beneficial. So what I want to share as well is some tips and tricks of how you really nail this. So these are tips and tricks, and there are 3 main tips and tricks. And this is first, be authentic. Second, ask your own questions. And third, don't stress yourself too much. Be authentic, I think, is just a no-brainer. You have to be authentic. If you come up with whatever is not true, they will find out very soon, and it won't help you in any way. So be as authentic as possible and share exactly how it came, because this will help on both sides again determine, okay, are we a great fit for each other? Second, don't stress yourself too much. I know this sounds like a lot, and it also sounds like a lot of preparation. And yes, it is. I think if you really want to nail it, you have those examples in place and you are able to really clearly determine and describe like what you did in all these situations. But on the other hand, this is all the preparation that helps you a lot to not stress yourself because you are confident in what you have achieved and you're confident in how this applies to the role that you're applying. If you're still feeling not confident and not good about yourself, that's okay because it takes practice. If you're just a beginner, it takes practice. Don't stress yourself if it doesn't work in the first time. Really don't. There's so many opportunities out there. You will find another opportunity. And then with any kind of interview that you do, you will get better and better and better until at one point you will nail it and it will really be working for you. So don't stress yourself, but really prepare. You have to prepare. If you just think, okay, it doesn't work and I didn't really put the work in, then you also won't gain any kind of confidence to really nail those interviews. And then thirdly, ask your own questions. I said this, it's not a game of the companies finding out if you're a great fit and you just say yes or no. But it's really about finding out what you want as well. And so ask all your questions to really find out what is important to you and if that works for you as well. Here are some example questions that you can ask. So one, for example, do you work in the office or remote hybrid? Maybe they already have this in their job ad. If not, try to find this out and also try to find out, if you're not already aware of it, what is important to you and how you like to work. Then how do you see customer success in your company, or how do you see whatever team in your company? This will show you a lot about priorities, and it will help you to determine, okay, is this the team and where I want to be working in? And does it fit and align with what is important to me and how I see customer success within an organization? Then how's the team built up? So who's working in the team? What are these people? How many are these? Are we all working in one location, or are we spread around the world? Then tell me about a situation where you had different perspectives in the team and how did you solve that? So going the other way around and saying, okay, what is the hiring manager doing? Is this a person that is solving problems in a way I do? And does this feel good to me to work with that person? Can I maybe even learn something from my manager? So trying to find also out, okay, what kind of person is that? Which expectations do you have for me? So that's again turning around the question and saying, okay, you asked me what kind of expectations I have for you, but I also want to know what kind of expectations you have for me. And especially if they not ask this question, you can ask this question in return. Then how's the collaboration with the others in the team? So this is a generic question where you might also get generic answers, but you can also nail this question down and say, okay, given that specific situation, how did you handle that kind of situation? To find out again, okay, what is relevant for them and how do they act? And how is your hiring manager acting in specific situations, or the team acting in specific situations, or the different teams acting with each other? So is there friction within the team, or is it a collaborative team? So all questions that give you a lot of insights into how that company operates. What are your growth plans? So is this company growing, or is it not growing? Is the team growing? What are the goals of the next year? What do you want to achieve? Is the hiring manager also have a perspective and a goal and objective that they're following or not? Or what kind of objective do they have? Is the direction that they want to go something in alignment with the direction that you want to go, not only in the next half year, but also in the next 5 years? And then why do you work for that company? What is that company giving you that makes you really enjoying working at that company? So all these questions will help you to determine also from your side, is that a company I actually want to work for? Is this a role I actually want to work for? And this will help you to determine, okay, if this whole process goes well, am I also able to say yes because I really enjoy how it's unfolding? Wow, there was a lot of information and a lot of insights into how you can nail the hiring manager interview. If you like this video, then I would be really delighted if you give me a like, if you subscribe to this channel, and also leave a comment and just say what you liked. And if you have questions, obviously add some questions. If you say, okay, that's great information, but I need more, I need a bit of guidance here, then you find all the links down in the in the description, and you can book me for one-on-one coaching, or also some additional sessions where I go even deeper into these. Or if you say, okay, I want to have more of those questions and question answers, then you can also go to my website and download the sheet of the question and answers. And if you like, okay, I like YouTube, but I'm not a big fan, I just watch the videos, but that's it. You can also follow me via Instagram or LinkedIn, or sign up to my newsletter. And I will share on all these platforms more information on the next videos coming up. So yes, there are a lot of opportunities for you to really dig deeper and make sure that you start now. You can wait wherever you want to wait, but if you really, really want to get a great job and you're not happy with the one you currently have, then I highly encourage you sign up, get all the videos, give me a message. We can go into more deep dive so that you finally are really able and have all the resources that you need and the guidance at hand to successfully apply to a customer success management role. With that, have a great day and see you in one of the next videos.